Hey everyone, I'm Kiting is Hard. I'm currently an analyst for Team Hades with the Olympus Gaming organization. Welcome to a new series on advanced League of Legends macro play. Today we'll be starting out with one of the most fundamental concepts in League, something I like to call the grid. The grid divides Summoner's Rift up into 11 regions, with 5 on each side and 1 neutral region in the middle. Throughout the game, the grid is a great way of thinking about macro movement around the map. I will create more in-depth videos about each individual topic, and I'm especially looking forward to creating some videos for junglers, but for this video I will focus on 3 topics: vision control, split pushing, and wave management. The goal of League of Legends is to take down objectives, with the end objective being the enemy nexus. League of Legends is a real-time strategy game at its core. In a strategy game, a great way to gain a lead is to force the enemy into a lose-lose situation. The grid is a general guide to stay safe and maximize potential profit by setting up the map, even in solo queue, into a lose-lose situation for your enemy laner. Each line on the map represents the edge of a region, with the 2 pink regions representing danger zones for Dragon and Baron. When preparing for an objective, vision needs to be set up in the zone that the objective is in. I will refer to the line between regions under control of one team and the other as the line of scrimmage. You'll notice that grid lines sometimes run through turrets. What this means is, when sieging a turret that falls between 2 grids, your vision around that objective should be set up depending on whether you are ahead or behind. If you are ahead, set up vision in the further region to threaten a dive and give your top laner teleport flank wards. If you are behind, set up in the closer region to defend your team against enemy flanks. This is not to say that you shouldn't set up vision elsewhere, just that grid-focused warding helps take down objectives safely. Oftentimes, you'll hear casters in the LCS talk about advancing the line of vision. This refers to pushing wards from their current region on the grid to the next region. When ahead, you can expand your vision to cover regions on the enemy's side, denying their movement in that specific region. Likewise, when behind, you should almost never push into a region that you have no control of. In any elo diamond and below, an easy strategy to win a losing game is to sit in the regions you have control of, never leave those regions, and wait for the enemy to become impatient, push up, and make a mistake. To facilitate this, put your vision along the line of scrimmage and wait for them to push too far into your regions. After a pick, push out to advance your line of scrimmage as far as possible and then rinse and repeat. The goal of split pushing is to force an enemy to peel away from the rest of his team and result in both a 1v1 and a 4v4 on different places on the map. This strategy is usually for when one individual lane is stronger than his counterpart and the rest of the team has a reasonable chance to win the 4v4. I will talk about split push in this video, assuming that the split pusher is top lane, although the knowledge is still applicable to other lanes. The biggest issue with split pushing in low elo is not understanding how to split push. This results in your top laner pushing out, getting killed by 3 people, and then complaining about other people not doing anything on the map when 3 people show top. This misunderstanding is caused by 2 mistakes: not setting up vision in the correct region, and not remaining in the same region as your team. When split pushing, usually as a top laner, you must ward in the region you are pushing in to cover rotations from the main enemy team to the lane you are currently in. The more crucial mistake is pushing outside the region your team is in. If your team is preparing to siege the tier 1 mid turret and you are already attacking the tier 2 bot turret, the enemy team has plenty of time to send a few people to collapse on you, kill you, and make it back to mid before your team can siege down the turret. Similarly, if the enemy team has their top and bot inhibitor turrets, and your team is pushing the bot inhibitor turret while you are still pushing around tier 1 top turret, the enemy team has time to fight 5v4 bot, win the fight, then rotate top to hold your push. Always push in the same region as your team. If your team wins the 4v4, you are free to split to your heart's content. However, if the enemy team has a lot of engage and or are capable of winning the 4v4, you should set up the wave in a slow push and join your team, as your teleport may not be fast enough to join your team for a fight. When both teams are positioning around Baron or Dragon, do not split unless you have teleport or your team has enough poke and disengage to harass the enemy off the objective 4v5 while remaining safe. I will create a video that goes far more in depth about wave management in the future, so this video will only cover the basic concepts of mid to late game wave management. Early game wave management will also be covered in a future video. When your team is not capable of winning a 4v4, then you do not have the luxury to sit in a side lane and split push the entire game. Your goal should be to set up a lane's minion wave such that it will crash into the enemy turret when you are sieging an objective with the rest of your team. This forces the enemy laner to respond to the wave, leaving your team in a 5v4 or lose a lot of minions and take turret damage. I will refer to the contact point between your minions and enemy minions as the minion line. When minions fight near a minion line, look at which side of the map this minion line is on, blue or red. As the next minion wave approaches, whichever side the minion line is on, that side's minion wave will reach the minion line faster, and so those minions will contribute more damage to the minion fight and push towards the other side. It's incredibly important to learn how to set up a wave so that it will crash into the enemy turret at a certain time in the future. A general rule of thumb is, at a minion line, it will take 1 minute to push 2 regions away from the side that the minion line is on, and 2 minutes to push 4 to 5 regions per 6 minion difference between the two sides. This will vary depending on cannon minions, minion RNG, and bonus damage from a turret count difference in the lane. For example, let's say both top tier 1 turrets have fallen. The minion wave has just pushed into your tier 2 top turret on blue side. You clear the minions under the turret and you have around 6 healthy minions pushing out, meeting the enemy minions on the yellow line between region 3 and region 2. Dragon is coming up in 2 minutes and your team is weaker 4v4. How much further should you push? If you push too fast, the minion line will reach their tier 2 turret very quickly, their top laner will clear the minions and send the wave pushing back towards you, all within the first minute and a half, forcing you to go top lane to clear minions as Dragon is spawning. If you don't push enough, the wave could bounce back to your side, leaving you in the same situation. If you want a 1 minute push, clear the minions at the minion line, then 3 minions from the next wave. This makes it so that your minion count will be 3 more than theirs at around the neutral region, and it will take roughly 2 waves for there to be a massive wave built to crash into their top tier 2 turret, and 2 waves spawn in 1 minute. If you want a 2 minute push, clear the minions at the minion line and leave the lane. The minion count will be roughly equal near the neutral region, but the minion line will be slightly on your side, meaning your minions reach the minion line faster. It will take a full minute for your minions to gain a 3 minion advantage, and after that the wave becomes exactly like the wave in the 1 minute push scenario. Of course, this advice is very general, and most high elo players can do this instinctively. If you take the time and practice by seeing how quickly minion waves push in your own solo queue games, you can create 5v4 situations that will have the enemy team flaming their top laner for not being there to help during a fight. To recap, set up vision control along a region and try to advance your vision line to the next region when you get a pick or when you are grouped together. Make sure that when you are fighting for an objective, you set up vision in the region the objective is in. A simple way to squeeze a win out of a losing game in lower elos is to sit in the regions you have control over until the enemy becomes impatient, overextends, and gives you a free pick. Then, expand your region control and rinse and repeat. Split push in the same region as your team when your team can win the 4v4. If you are too far up or too behind, you give the enemy team time to rotate between the two threats as a group. Set up minions to push into a turret 1 to 2 minutes later when your team can't win the 4v4. This brings the enemy laner's attention to protect that turret and results in a 5v4 situation for your team. Thanks for watching the first video in Advanced League Macros. I'm not very good at video editing, but I hope the information made it worth the watch. Please drop a like if you found it helpful and subscribe for future videos. If you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.